Batman Eternal issue 3. This again is written by Scott Snyder and James Tynion IV and is illustrated by Jason Fabok. Basically picking up after the events of issue 2, and is another issue of this series that has a lot going on inside it. It's another strong issue. There's the introduction of a few new subplots. Now, while I didn't spoil issue 2 for you while I reviewed that, I'm going to have to address some of the things that happened in issue 2 in order to talk about this one. But to begin with, we're introduced to Stephanie Brown, as you can see here, who basically in the first couple of pages walks in on her dad doing some what appears to be supervillain shit. Anyway, let's just say that doesn't go very well for her. We then see the GCPD once again reeling from the effects of Commissioner Gordon being behind bars. And also Gordon speaking to Jason Bard, the new sort of recruit for the GCPD, basically telling him, look, you know, arresting the commissioner and putting him behind bars is a pretty good way to get a reputation around here, sort of thing. We then see, after we know that Carmine Falcone is back in Gotham, we see the Batman go to confront the Penguin about it, because the Penguin is basically the current kingpin of crime in Gotham. The Penguin didn't know that Carmine's back. We also see, you know, Carmine with the mayor of Gotham making sure that Major Forbes from the GCPD is in his pocket. And we see then that Falcone is starting, you know, a coordinated strike against the Penguin. And meanwhile, rather than the GCPD being able to get involved, we have Major Forbes, because he's on Falcone's team, basically declare war on Batman. So that's basically, without going into too much sort of specific detail, that's basically the sort of plot of this issue. And to be honest, you know, once again, it's a fairly strong issue. I mean, the artwork is consistently pretty impressive. It's very moody and cinematic. I mean, as you can see, Batman there. But again, I mean, my problem with this issue is similar to my problems that I had with issue 2, and it's in as much as it's introducing so many different subplots and characters, and almost like, you know, they want to sort of touch base with pre-existing Gothamites, like the Penguin, for example. You know, what happened to the sort of hints of the supernatural that were in issue 2? Are we going to go back to that? You know, and I don't doubt that we will. But it just feels a little bit like they're laying it on thick, the mystery at the moment. And again, with it being a weekly series, I want it to start paying off. I mean, this is about, I imagine, it feels about halfway through the first arc, and I believe in issue 4, and I could be wrong, that the creative team changes slightly. And, you know, I'm interested to see where it goes, but again, it just feels a little bit messy at the moment. It feels like, you know, are all these events going to relate and tie in together, or are we just literally establishing as much as we can for the sort of 50-odd issues that are going to follow it? So all in all, you know, it's a fairly strong issue. There's a lot going on. It's never boring. The characterisation of Bats and like Falcone and stuff, you know, is all very interesting. And it's just a case of, you know, I sort of want it to start paying off, because it feels like it's just a perfectly serviceable Batman story at the moment. There's nothing special about it. It's not what I'd consider special in, as, you know, in regards to like the Court of Owls stuff that Scott Snyder did, or the Death of the Family, which are two story arcs that I thought were, you know, pretty fantastic. It's not there with that yet. So I think they need to start tying some stuff up. Because, again, you look at all the different subplots that they've introduced in the first 3 issues, and you just think there's so much going on, it just feels very scattershot and messy. But that's not to say it's not enjoyable, it's perfectly serviceable. So Batman Eternal issue 3, you know, I'd recommend it for Batman fans, but again, it seems to be losing its focus a little bit, so I'm hoping that they'll be tightening that up in future issues. But so far, yeah, it's a perfectly fine comic.